General, you've discussed how one of your proudest achievements was returning the remains of Ignacy Jan Paderewski, the renowned concert pianist and former Polish Prime Minister, to his native Poland. How did Paderewski become such a significant figure in your life?
Paderewski became a significant figure in my life because I was raised by my maternal grandmother, and Paderewski was a great hero of hers, not only as a musician, but as a politician and a father of modern Poland.
For the benefit of those less familiar with Polish history, how did Paderewski become such a famous and influential person to Polonia?
Well, in the first place, in 1795, Poland ceased to exist. Three countries, Prussia, Austria, and Russia, divided up Poland and wiped it off the map. Then in 1891, Paderewski made his debut at Carnegie Hall, and for the next 2 decades became the most highly paid and most loved pianist throughout the world. In 1914, through his music, he came to the attention of President Wilson and convinced President Wilson that after World War I, one of the war aims of the Allied powers should be the resurrection of a free and new and independent Poland.
How did Paderewski's remains come to be buried in the U.S. instead of Poland?
In September 1939, Nazi Germany overran Poland, and Poland once again ceased to exist. Paderewski died in New York City in 1941. President Roosevelt wanted to bury Paderewski in Arlington National Cemetery, but the regulations prohibited it because only U.S. citizens could be buried there. So he said, let's inter Paderewski's remains at Arlington National Cemetery until Poland shall once again be free.
From the time of his burial at Arlington until Poland became free in 1989, how was the idea of Paderewski's return to a free Poland kept alive?
The legacy of Paderewski was kept alive first by President Kennedy, who in 1963 learned that Paderewski's body was at Arlington Cemetery, but that very few people knew it. He decided that he would erect a marker to indicate where it was, and to dedicate the marker, he invited me as a senior military man in the service to attend that ceremony. It was a moving ceremony in which Kennedy said that Paderewski would once again be returned someday to a free and independent Poland. Almost 20 years later, at the 40th anniversary of Paderewski's death, I convinced President Reagan, who was then my boss, to return to the National Cemetery and give the same speech that Kennedy had made, promising that one day Paderewski's body will be returned to a free and independent Poland. These incidents by both presidents kept the legacy of Paderewski's memory alive.
In 1989, after Poland regained its independence, how were you able to influence the return of Paderewski's remains to Poland?
In 1985, I was roving ambassador to the United States, to the country behind the Iron Curtain, and I was able to travel to Poland. I met President Jaruzelski, who in turn introduced me to Lech Walesa, the head of the Solidarity Movement. And my conversation with Walesa convinced me that he would work hard to return the remains of Paderewski to Poland. He was good to his promise, and that actually happened in the end.
Tell me about the work you had to do in the United States to make Paderewski's return possible.
Well, the work in the United States is very complicated because the United States had never gone through anything like this before, and first had to decide whether it was the Defense Department or the State Department, which would return the body to Poland. I began working with the State Department, and we worked out all the details to return the body to Poland. I was assisted greatly in this effort by Colonel Kirk Lewis, my deputy, who had been an assistant to the superintendent of the Arlington National Cemetery and knew all the ins and outs of making such a thing happen. We finally worked this all out, and Paderewski's body was returned in 1992, 51 years after the death of Paderewski.
Can you describe the difficulties involved in the process of returning Paderewski's remains to Poland?
The difficulty was so complicated and difficult, I could write a book about this. In the first place, we had to decide who was the next of kin. And working with the family, we made the decision that Clarence Paderewski, his second cousin, who lived in California, would be the living heir. Then difficulties arose with the Catholic Church in Poland. Paderewski's family wanted the body interred in Krakow at the National Pantheon, but Cardinal Glimt, the primate of Poland, decided otherwise. I took the matter to the Pope in the Vatican, and he decided in Cardinal Glimt's favor, and therefore the body was put to rest in the church in Warsaw. My work in returning Paderewski's return to Poland were greatly complicated by the State Department watch. This is a group of self-appointed lawyers who sued me, saying that Paderewski's remains should join his heart, which is already interred at Doylestown, Pennsylvania. They said that Paderewski so loved the United States, and the United States so loved Poland, that his body should remain here in the United States. Paderewski had left no instructions in his will as to where his remains would be interred, but the day before he died, he told his sister that in the Chopin tradition, he wanted his heart to be buried separately from his body, and he wanted his heart to remain in the United States. When I showed the notes of these to the judge, he agreed that the logic was that since Paderewski wanted his heart to remain in the United States, he wanted his remains to be somewhere else, and it was naturally Poland. So he dismissed the case, and we won the case. Well, these are only the tip of the iceberg of many of the details that had to be worked out in returning Ignacy Jan Paderewski's body to Poland. I would like to thank Ambassador Schnepp and the staff of the Embassy of the Republic of Poland for making this concert possible.